Oh boy, a brand new Overkill album. I am so excited. Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about Scorched, latest studio album from New Jersey thrash metal institution Overkill. And you ready to hear something crazy? This is their 20th studio album. That's crazy. Is that not crazy, Anna?
That is crazy.
20 fucking albums.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that?
I know.
What the hell? These guys have been putting out records chock full of pissy, gnarly, thrashy bruisers for almost 40 years now, releasing these records every 2 to 3 years or so like clockwork, without fail. In fact, the only reason, literally the only reason this album did not come out sooner is because of this fun little thing called COVID-19. Had it not been for this fun little thing called COVID-19, this album would have originally released April 21st, 2021, nearly 2 fucking years ago. And had they done that, had they stuck to that plan, with or without this fun little thing called COVID-19, it is not unfair to assume that they would then release another album 2 years later, which we would be talking about today, instead of Scorched. Because that's the kind of band Overkill is. And I honestly have to admire their incredible work ethic, their dedication to heavy metal and thrash metal, and to their fans. They give them exactly what they want, they don't waste time, they fuck around, they move the fuck on, and then 2 years later, they do it again. On some level, I think a lot of young metal bands could honestly learn from Overkill in that regard. But with all due respect, oh my goodness, Overkill just keeps making the same record over and over and over again. Overkill are to thrash metal what AC/DC are to hard rock. They have a great sound, and they made great records back in the day. But as time has gone on, they've just kind of kept repeating themselves, they just kind of kept doing the same thing over and over again, and as such, I no longer give a shit. I will happily blast the ever-living fuck out of Let There Be Rock and Highway to Hell and Back in Black. But rock or bust, I don't give two shits. Same thing with Overkill, ladies and gentlemen. I love Taking Over and Under the Influence and The Years of Decay and Horoscope, but I just do not give a single flying fuck about White Devil Armory and The Grinding Wheel and The Wings of War. For all of these reasons, I was not at all pumped whatsoever for Scorched ahead of time. In fact, I briefly considered skipping it entirely. I will say I'm happy ultimately that I didn't, because I did get more out of this than I expected, but ultimately my thoughts and feelings on modern Overkill remain pretty much the same, and whatever thoughts and feelings you have on Overkill, modern and overall, are very likely to remain the same as well. While some Overkill and old-school thrash metal connoisseurs, including Bobby Blitz himself of Overkill fame, would like you to believe that this album is eclectic and dynamic and diverse and, you know, it showcases a lot of different sides of Overkill, I promise you that is absolutely not the case whatsoever. I guess you could argue that stuff like Wicked Place and Won't Be Coming Back has this kind of classic, epic, heavy metal sheen to it, in the vein of stuff from Iced Earth and Dio. I guess you could also argue that The Harder They Bite has the tiniest pinch of New York hardcore in its chorus with some rabid, barking vocals. And I guess you could also argue that Fever wears a bit of classic Black Sabbath worship on its sleeve. It's sludgy, it's slow, it's moody. That one's actually a semi-convincing argument. That one I'll buy. That one I'll give you that, Bobby. I'll give you that, Overkill fans. But other than that, it's Overkill doing what Overkill does. Plain and simple. And, you know, to be fair, that in and of itself isn't a bad thing. You know, the surgeon is fast and ferocious and pummeling, and has a very catchy anthemic chorus that I'm willing to bet people are going to sing along to live. The album's title track, Scorched, is also similarly quite brutal, quite gnarly and cool. It's menacing, and it has a few wild, rambunctious grooves hidden within its thrashy sprawls. Speaking of grooves, the album's closing number, Bag of Bones, does lean more towards like mid-2000s Overkill than it does modern-day Overkill, which I guess, to be fair, also does add a tad of diversity to this whole thing. It is also, to its credit, a pretty decent way to close out the record. Despite its heavier emphasis on groove metal influences, it remains a pretty unrelenting, thrashy banger. And I gotta give credit to Bobby Blitz. He still sounds pretty enthused and pissed off across this whole thing. I can't say his vocals are great, because he's increasingly sounding more and more like a fucking pissed off goblin. But hey, you know what? Fuck it. He's a 63-year-old thrash metal singer from New Jersey. I'll take what I can fucking get. Not much to speak of in regards to, like, the mixing and mastering and stuff like that. It's your standard, like, modern heavy metal, thrash metal production job, albeit with a slightly more audible and prominent bass tone. Personally, I was kind of bored on repeat listens. There's just not really enough happening to keep you invested and excited, but you know, that first listen, honestly, it was solid. It wasn't amazing, it didn't blow my mind or change my life, but it was honestly better than I expected it would be. And I suppose I wouldn't, like, bitch and moan and cry if this was played at a party or something like that. I would rather listen to Horoscope or The Years of Decay or, you know, but whatever, you know? Whatever. 3 out of 5, I guess. Definitely not an enthusiastic one. Like, I'll probably never listen to this record ever again. But I will acknowledge that, like, it's well made, it's well performed, it has a couple twists and turns, as in, like, 1 or 2, but, like, whatever. That's something. The people who love Overkill and just want to hear new Overkill are going to be fucking elated with this thing. If you're like me and you just don't really care, then I guess there's no reason to really check this out. But if you do, I'm sure you'll have fun. I'm sure of it. Like, why not? I literally got nothing else to say. It's Overkill. What the fuck more do I even need to say? 3 out of 5. Not an enthusiastic one, but a 3 out of 5 nonetheless. It's decent, I guess. Whatever. Whatever, sure, why not? When Overkill release an album in another 2 years, just go ahead and copy and paste everything I just fucking said onto that review, so I don't have to fucking do this again. Please and thank you. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.